Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, your host, here with my co-host and co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
We are coming to you from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. We have a really fun show for you. We want to look at the history of Las Vegas and through the eyes of the places that you can actually go visit to get the full scope of the story. There's a lot of places around the city that are still standing that kind of give the broad, I guess, narrowing in of the broad story of Las Vegas, because beyond the neon lights, a lot of people who visit Sin City don't know anything beyond the casinos.
Right. Or even, why are we called Sin City?
Why is it called Sin
Which
City?
Which we're going to get into in a minute. I think most people know the history that has to do with the mob and the Rat Pack and, the glitz and glamour of the 50s and 60s. But there's so much more history before that. And there are museums and places all around the city that you can go to and learn about it, which we've been doing a lot of lately. And, history is more your thing, but I'm really starting to get into it, I have to say.
Yeah. And even if you're not like a history fan per se, there are a ton of museums and different outliers here in and around the city, I would say, where you can just go see some beautiful parts of nature and see the broader scope of how it all ties in. Because how do you make like the entertainment capital of the world out of a place that's very inhospitable?
Right.
But wasn't always, but then turned back into.
But I think that's a great question. And that's what we're going to tackle first. How did Las Vegas come to be here in the middle of the desert?
Yeah. Some people, I'm going to say that a lot, right? That's the phrase. A lot of people, most people don't realize that Las Vegas is a Spanish word that means the meadows.
Right.
Right. So long time ago, this valley, and actually if you leave the strip, you'll see a lot of things that mention Green Valley and how lush this valley actually was, because there were springs, naturally occurring springs here that were popped up kind of all over the desert. This, I guess what we call the Las Vegas Valley, that really helped transform it from nothingness into being able to support a small settlement, and then something, further down the line as technology improved and improved. The first stop I would recommend around the city, honestly, is Springs Preserve.
Right. It's a place we've wanted to go since we moved here, and we finally made the journey there just a few weeks ago after being here for 10 years. And I'm disappointed in us that we didn't go sooner.
Yeah, I am. I'm a little bit disappointed because once we went, we were like, oh, okay, because we didn't have, I guess we had sort of ideas of what it might be. But once we looked further into it, Springs Preserve at its core is a group of different museums and different buildings that kind of teach the varying degrees of like how Las Vegas operates as a whole, how it came to be, from prehistoric times, and knowing that it was once an ocean.
Yeah.
And that the state fossil is a giant, I don't know, fish. Is that a fish? Is it a mammal?
I don't know, but can you say the word? I can't say it.
It starts with an I. And it's like Iliosaurus.
I thought it was like Ichthyosaurus or something. Obviously, I'm not saying it right, but it's hard to believe the state fossil, which who knew Nevada had a state fossil, but it's a sea creature in the middle of what is now desert.
Yeah. These sites really underscore how this dusty desert, as a lot of people see it, became habitable. I was joking earlier about how to say habitable, and now I messed myself up. But it really kind of lays the groundwork for what the city would look like in the future. Springs Preserve is named after because, it's often called the birthplace of Las Vegas. It was a natural spring, this area of natural springs that like animals and indigenous people and, things like that for thousands of years depended on. And even the old Spanish Trail we kind of saw earlier, the old Spanish Trail used to wind through here before it was ever really a settlement because of the water and the creeks that ran through the valley.
Right.
And like kind of looking at it, that's when visitors from the north started popping up in the form of the Mormon settlement kind of expanded and they put their eyes on the Las Vegas Valley, which is fitting because like maybe 10 minutes away is the old Mormon fort, as they're called, or the old Las Vegas fort, which was the first like European settlement in this area.
Yeah, it's considered the oldest building in the state is at the Mormon fort, which I feel like I learned so much over the last few weeks by going not only to Springs Preserve, but also to the Old Mormon Fort, which is a state park now that you can go in and you can learn the history of that area being settled and then what happened to it after the Mormons left and who bought it, turned it into a ranch, and then what happened with that property then. Yeah. I will say the thing I found most surprising at both of these places was that I did not know mammoths, not the woolly mammoth, the Columbian mammoth is from this area. And there is a giant mammoth skeleton at Springs Preserve.
Wow. Oh, yeah. It greets you.
Yeah, when you walk into one of the museums.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I just assumed if we had fossils here, it was going to be more deserty creatures. But again, learning that this was ocean at one point and then this was lush meadows, it was surprising to me. But that's where the Columbian mammoth, like this is the area of the country that they're from.
If you would have told me the state fossil is a giant land turtle, I'd be like, okay, that's fitting. It fits to what it is now. But for, we mentioned the underwater creatures and how this all was ocean. And then later on, millions of years later, the primary animal around here was the Columbian mammoth, and that how they find these fossils all over the place. In fact, we met a paleontologist on our last trip to
the Natural History Museum.
Oh, yeah, the Natural History Museum, which is another great place to kind of check out.
Right next to the Mormon Fort.
Which is literally right next door to the old Mormon Fort. We actually met I didn't know there were real-life paleontologists until we met this gentleman. It's
one of those jobs that you know of, but you never think you're actually going to come in contact with one of them. And the guy actually scared the poop out of us because we didn't know he was in his lab. And we were kind of walking in looking at the things, and he kind of like jumped up from behind something. Oh, we had a good laugh about it. But then, very interesting, he was showing us fossils that they have found locally and telling us where around Las Vegas they are currently still finding fossils.
Yeah.
And when they do find the fossils, they bring them to the Natural History Museum, and him and other paleontologists clean them up and dig them out of the dirt casing.
That's amazing. Like you would look at the history museum and go, okay, I've been to history museums before, but for him to actually fill in the gaps and say, this is actually a working paleontology center where they bring the bones that they find in these different locations, a lot of them around like Floyd Lamb Park and even around the Orchard and Tule Springs.
The new state park we have here, Ice Fossil State Park, I think it's called.
Yeah, Ice Fossil State Park, which is like opened within the last 2 years, all in the northern part of the city. And to have all of these, so all four of those places, honestly, if you want to look like the way back of the beginnings of Las Vegas, they're all great for families. Low prices to get in. The tickets, I think, for the Old Mormon Fort for like $3. Springs Preserve is a little bit more, but it's 3 or 4 different museums. It's a butterfly habitat.
Right. They have all kinds of little classes for kids, educational things. They have the train that we rode on. They also have hiking trails. You can spend an entire day at Springs Preserve and not do everything.
And still have time to, really close together to go to the Old Mormon Fort, like I said, 5 or 10 minutes away by car. And then literally right next door is the History Museum. So like if you're little ones or even just yourself, bigger ones, if you're a bigger one and you like history, you like fossils.
Right.
It's just fascinating start to Las Vegas. A lot different than the casinos.
Not at all what you think of when you think of Las Vegas and Sin City.
Not at all. But it's an incredible, incredible start to it. We're looking at the history of Las Vegas. Keep it right here. It's the Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long here with my co-host Amy.
Hello.
Coming to you from beautiful Sin City, Las Vegas in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. Remember, for all of our past episodes and interviews, check us out, unscaledtravelshow.com. We really do appreciate it. And we are talking about the history of Las Vegas through the lens of places that you can actually still go and learn about the wonderful background of Las Vegas beyond the world famous strip and beyond the casinos.
Right.
What they often leave out. You mentioned earlier in the show, most people know a little bit about like the Rat Pack era with Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin and all those characters, Elvis coming to town, and even the mob and its ties into it, that which did have its place. And we will get to how it, has its fingerprints all over Las Vegas still to this day. But there are other things to consider when looking at Las Vegas. The things we mentioned earlier, Las Vegas is Spanish for the meadows, used to be really green. It was an important watering stop for people getting to Los Angeles and going to California for the gold rushes and different places like that. Many people don't realize how, I guess, Wild Westian it was
right
here in Vegas.
Right.
We mentioned the Old Mormon Fort. The Old Mormon Fort was built in 1855 and lasted about 2 years. By 1857, I think March in 1857, they abandoned the settlement. The Mormons did. And because it was tough conditions.
It was tough conditions, and the Native Americans, they were not happy that
Obviously.
the Mormons came here, and the Mormons were cutting down trees and fields of like grains and things like that that the Native Americans needed to eat, and they were being impacted, and they were fighting back, rightly so. And the Mormons decided, you know what, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
We're not really getting anything out of being here. So they left, and the building just sat there abandoned. Yeah,
the indigenous Paiute Indians were not very happy that the Mormons just kind of moved in and started cutting down, like you said, these trees that ran along these creeks. Now, this wasn't a mighty rushing river that was coming through the Las Vegas Valley. There were natural springs that were popped up in different areas around the valley. And when you start taking away those trees and you start taking away the food source from people, well, something's got to give, right? So the Mormons abandoned the fort in 1857, but that doesn't mean that Las Vegas just completely went away. During that time period, there was probably, they estimate about 100, maybe 100 people total in the Las Vegas Valley.
Not many.
But they were ranchers. They were trying to carve out a place to grow, vegetables and fruit and everything in the valley, while using the limited amount of water and trying to turn the really, really rough, bad soil into something that they could, fertilize and keep going and everything. Right. So really, I mean, when we first moved here over a decade ago, and we were looking at, trying to figure out our own place here, people hearing that we were from Texas and everything, they were like, oh, okay, you're from Texas. And me, I thought, oh, I'm a big Texas man. Tell you guys about ranching and all this other stuff. And they were like, dude, you don't even realize how much of our past is actually in ranching and rodeo and Wild West culture.
I was just telling someone this a few weeks ago. I happened to be in New York for work, and I was speaking to another lady who was from Texas, currently living in New York. And she was asking me how Las Vegas compared to living in Texas. And I told her, it's actually very similar in some ways, because it is a big, I don't really want to say this, but like cowboy culture in some areas.
Yeah, it is.
There's a lot of the same cultural significance in how Texas was formed and also how Las Vegas was formed. So there are a lot of similarities, especially where we live, because we are in the part of the city that was ranches. It was cattle ranches and horse ranches for a long time. I mean, this part of the city only started being developed about 25, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So there are still existing ranches up here where we live that people don't even know about.
Absolutely. Right. In fact, where we live in the city, northwest part of the city, I mean, there's orchards and real working places to bring their horses and things
Farms,
like that that have been working for generations and generations. And it's crazy to see once you get away from the strip. But there are areas that you can go visit. There's real working ranches in and around the city, different places you can kind of get that, pet a horse if you want. But there are places like the Pioneer Saloon, which is just outside of Good Springs, which is just a few minutes drive south of Las Vegas proper, which has been around since 1913.
Right.
Now, this is, when you look at the Wild West and the ranching culture, also you have to realize that Nevada is called the Silver State for a reason. There was silver mines all over the state. And there are ghost towns like Nelson, Nevada, which is really fun to go visit. Rhyolite, Nevada, which is an actual ghost town.
To me, it's the best ghost town we've ever been to.
I absolutely love it.
People always talk about the gold rush, but they don't realize that there were so many other minerals and ores being mined. And a lot of that was being mined in and around Nevada. And that's where a lot of our history comes from. Even around Death Valley, which is where Rhyolite is. If you've never been to a ghost town, this is to me what I picture when I think of a true ghost town. There's still some fully intact buildings standing, some are in ruins, but it's just kind of eerie to see these old buildings and to know that an entire town was created and died within a decade? It wasn't very long.
No, it rose up fast. It had a stock exchange. It had, so many millions of dollars went through this small little town. And then within 12 years, it was gone.
Right.
And there's still some buildings left over, but it's an actual ghost town. And it's one that I highly recommend that people go out and check out. It's actually a gateway to Death Valley, like you said, National Park. So you can go into there and see all those fun mining operations that they had in Death Valley, right? So, but the Pioneer Saloon was an early saloon built in 1913. It served the miners of nearby silver, lead, and zinc mine operations. So it also has kind of a sad tie-in with Clark Gable and his wife Carol Lombard, tragically passed away in a plane crash not too far away from here. And this is where he was just kind of inconsolable. And they have a booth still named after him. They have pictures and things like that from Clark Gable and, his wife's time there.
And the Pioneer Saloon's been in movies. It was in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. It was in The Mexican with Brad Pitt, I believe. It was also in Miss Congeniality too. A lot of times when you see these movies where people are driving from LA to Las Vegas and they stop at this old rundown bar, it is the Pioneer Saloon. Yeah.
It's a fun thing it's a good piece of history because it has been around, but it's not, if you go there now, it's still a popular stop that's out of the way. But I think it's every part of old Vegas that a lot of people don't realize is still tons of fun.
You can still go and have a drink there, though.
Yeah. I don't know if they still serve miners. They'll serve miners, but not miners. Unscaled Travel Show, History of Las Vegas. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long here with my co-host, Amy.
Hello.
In beautiful Sin City, talking about the history of Sin City, all about that Sin City, in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios, which, Trent and Lisa Keenan, we should call them up real quick. Trent is a huge history buff. He can tell you all the ins and outs. And he's probably surveyed, as a land surveyor, he's probably surveyed most of the Las Vegas Valley and can tell you why we've set things up the way we set things up, the different water channels that are under the city, how many millions of dollars we actually spend to keep water pumping through the city, all that kind of stuff. We were talking about the Wild West heritage of Las Vegas and how it's, linked to ranches and mining operations, like a lot of places in the American Wild West back then. And I didn't want to skip over. There are things like a Western themed festival that Las Vegas holds every year. It jumps around depending on the year. Sometimes it's in May. I think this year it's actually in October, but it's called El Dorado Days. So it's all Western themed. There's rodeo events, parades, carnivals, contests, all kinds of stuff. There used to be a beard growing competition.
Beard growing.
But the El Dorado Days started in 1934, and they're still going on every single year. But it is just paying homage to the cowboy roots of Las Vegas, and there's a ton of them.
Because we still have a huge cowboy emphasis, I guess, on the city because, like, the National Rodeo Finals come here every year. It is a big thing.
The bull riding championships, the national finals for rodeo are here. And, man, I'm telling you, the Cowboys, when it's cowboy season because
take over.
They are all over the strip, and God bless them. They're out there, the rootinest, tootinest people you'll ever meet. Whether it's
are they? Never mind.
I'm going to get in trouble. But they are rooting and tooting. They're doing all their kind of stuff. But the Wild West vibe, right? So we go from that kind of, and I don't want to pass up people that were really important, like the First Lady of Las Vegas, Helen J. Stewart. She was, at the time, I think it was the 1870s, she was the largest landholder totally by accident.
Right.
She came across the ranch.
Her husband moved her here.
Yeah.
They had 4 children, another on the way, and then he died shortly after.
Yeah, she still had chili in a crock pot, boy, and this boy, I think he passed away in a gunfight.
But he purchased the old Mormon fort and turned it into a ranch and then left it to her, and just through a series of expansion, as you said, she ended up being one of if not the largest landholder in the city, and is considered,
and had a lot of firsts in the city. She served on a jury. She was the first woman in the area to serve on a jury, opened public schools, and she was very giving to the communities, also to the native communities and everything else. And she just kind of, through grit and just sheer will, she kind of carved a place out in Las Vegas during that time period. What really started to set Vegas up were the ranches, and I think this time period, and just a little bit like in the 1930s, would be Hoover Dam. So Nevada came out of Prohibition with an idea in mind. You know what? We're going to fix our economy. We're going to make this a quickie divorce state, which was unheard of. Okay. They also did something very important in 1931. They legalized gambling.
Right.
Gambling, and this is where everything starts to come into what we know as Sin City now. They had these divorce ranches. Floyd Lamb State Park was actually a working ranch, and it's still, for a lot of parts, is a working ranch. It's in the northern part of the city. It set itself up as a divorce ranch, a divorce haven, basically. You only had to set up, what do they call it?
Residency
in Nevada for 6 weeks, and then you could legally get a divorce. That was like nothing.
Which no other state in the United States could you get divorced so easily.
No,
so people would come.
They wanted
here.
you to stay miserable,
right?
We wanted you to be happy.
People would come here, live here for 6 weeks, and then they could get a very easy divorce and then go home divorced. So that contributed to us being called Sin City, on top of legalizing gambling and coming out of Prohibition. So you have to know, like, before the 30s, this stuff was already happening. It was growing. It just wasn't on the scale that it is today.
Yeah. The infamous, and we won't go through the entire history here of it, but the infamous Block 16, which is around Fremont Street today. A lot of the old places, the Arizona Club and things like that, don't exist anymore. But that block is still around downtown. And that was where, like, politicians and cops and everyone just kind of looked the other way. It used to be, like, during Prohibition and all of that, they had underground speakeasies and these kind of things, card games, betting, all the prostitution, ladies of the night. This was the area where they were just kind of like, look, we know you have to have something, and TV's not around now. So, like, there's no IMAX and pay-per-view and all that stuff. So you got to get your vices somewhere. And you know what? as long as y'all ain't doing nothing too rowdy, we're going to just look the other way.
Right.
The legend of it spread far, wide, and very fast, and people started calling us Sin City. This is where you could go to have your vices legally.
I was reading the other day that when Prohibition went into effect, the governor of Nevada at the time, or the person who was in charge of this area and enforcing these things, it was a weekend that it was supposed to go into effect. And he decided he wasn't going to enforce it until Monday. Mm-hmm. And he told everyone, on Monday, we'll start enforcing it. But
so
kind of like, get your last
out.
few days.
Get it out of your system while you can. And even then, they kind of just were like, look, as long as you're not doing it in the middle of the street.
He was like, if I don't see you.
Yeah. Because they were there doing it too.
They were too.
They were doing it too, man. You know, another great place to kind of look around with Floyd Lamb Park is like the Clark County Museum in Henderson. It's a great thing on area ranching, the pioneer life. It was still hard to get things done, but we're starting to shape up to what Las Vegas would be known all about far and wide. Get that quickie divorce, and after that divorce, you got money to spend. Well, we have just the place for you. Keep it right here. It's the Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long here with my co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
We're in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. And we're talking all about the history of Las Vegas and the places that you can go that are still standing that really kind of tell the story, the shaping of Las Vegas and the people in the area that kind of influence what it is today. Mm-hmm. So we've moved, as far as history is concerned, into the 1930s. In that time in the U.S., the Great Depression is happening. Mm-hmm. A lot of people out of work. So you know what? Let's put people to work. I don't know what they actually said, but the Hoover Dam started to come to fruition. It was decades in the planning. And in 1931, they finally started, putting dynamite and rock and blowing things up. It's crazy, the story of the Hoover Dam.
Right, which we've been to. We've gone to a few times. And the last time we were there, we took the tour. And they do show you a video on the making. They give you a lot of history. And even thinking, how would they build that now? But they did this almost 100 years ago. Yeah. It was kind of fascinating, especially when we learned how they poured the concrete into squares so it would cool in time, because they said if they had tried to pour it all as one wall, it would still be hardening today, almost 100 years later.
It would take like 175 years to actually cool and harden if they did it in one big pour. Right. Which is all the kind of information, the real fun stuff you can find if you do like the tour. Yeah. Where you get to go into the walls of the Hoover Dam.
It was so neat.
That was such a crazy experience. I loved it. I can't believe we waited so long to do that.
We keep saying that.
It's a theme.
Take it from us. Don't wait. Buy the ticket.
Yeah. And so the Hoover Dam not only would provide hydroelectric power to the area, which would allow for homes to be lit and things like that, especially in Southern California as well. So LA needed power, the whole area, and water by forming Lake Mead out of, the dam stopped up water and all that, provide water for thousands of people in the area. But it also brought thousands of people. 21,000 people over the 5 or 6 year period it took to build Hoover Dam suddenly set up residence right outside of the construction area in a place that's called Boulder City today. Mm-hmm. Boulder City was clean cut. That was a workman's camp. You better show up at your job or another guy's going to take your place tomorrow. Right. And it brought people from all over the country, all over the world to do this job. And so Las Vegas, little burgeoning Sin City over there with his Block 16 and all that stuff, like, hey, they were looking over at people, workers, mainly men.
Mainly men. It was a tent city.
Tent city, and who had cash on hand. And they were like, hey, buddy, hey, guy, I got a fun thing for you. We got all the things for you. Why don't you come over here? So it really started almost this difference between a good, clean-cut city and Sin City, where you could go get your vices all day, all night, no matter what they were. And people started, hey, I like this.
Yeah.
So they would come over to Vegas, buy a house, rent a room or whatever, set up shop. And all of a sudden, Vegas's population started to really explode during that time period.
Well, because as you said, most of the people working, they were all men, but most of them didn't bring their families because they were living in tents. But as they started making money and as Vegas started growing, then families were coming here. So it wasn't just the men anymore. And the whole population of the area started rising.
Yeah.
The ones that wanted to stay away from sin settled closer to the dam. And the ones who wanted to be free.
Well, that no good so-and-so. I told you about
Vegas,
him, Helen. He was a cad when I met him. But yeah, they kind of set up shop. And it's really fascinating because not only is there Hoover Dam that you can go and see, which is an incredibly fascinating. It is still like a modern marvel. Mm-hmm. You mentioned I don't know what I think about people from 100 years ago, but I'm like, there's no way they could build stuff like that, right? They can't. Right. They don't have all this technology and everything. It's crazy what our great grandfathers and stuff did. And if you read up what they did in Las Vegas, it's crazy what they did.
You don't want to know. You don't want to know what they were doing in Vegas.
Why?
But you can take the tour of the dam and see what they were doing over there.
Why, Pap?
But it's a really cool place. Even if you don't take take the tour, you can still walk across the top of the dam. You can take pictures. It's really kind of neat because there's two different levels you can walk on. You can go on the new bridge that's above it and you're kind of looking down, or you can walk the actual old top of the dam, which straddles the state line too between Arizona and Nevada. Yeah. And they have, because we're in two different time zones, they have clocks on both sides to let you know what time it is, depending on what side of the bridge you're on.
And also Boulder City. Boulder City, if you just have an afternoon, you want to go check out this camp where a lot of generations of people that have sprang forth that came from those workers, their families and everything else they still live in this town. And there's a really fun Boulder Dam Museum in the city of Boulder City. Well, that's a lot, but it was a meticulously planned city. It's a tent city when they started to build permanent housing and things for the workers who, when they got to the end of the dam, building part, a lot of people were like, well, what are we going to do? Go back to Mississippi or wherever we're from? No, we're going to set up shop out here. This is the land of opportunity now.
Yeah.
The economy is booming. There's all kinds of construction now happening in Las Vegas and in Boulder City. So I'm going to stick around here. I'm going to raise a family here and, do that kind of thing. Because, even shows if you watch Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, you've seen different areas on Boulder City pop up. I think, what's his name? Guy Fieri has stopped in different places and just it's a fascinating look at the history of the area once it started to modernize. And they've left little quirks, and I don't want to ruin it all for people, but there's still quirky little details that you can find throughout the city, and tons of, if you are a history buff or something like that, you can find different plaques and monuments and things that harken back to that time.
And you mentioned earlier the railroad. There are in and around Boulder City historic railroad tracks still and tunnels. And so if you're kind of into trains, you might find some really interesting things in Boulder City too.
If you're one of those guys that's really into trains.
Really.
There's things for you too. No judgment. It's an Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long here with my co-host, Amy.
Hello.
Coming to you from beautiful Las Vegas, the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. Remember, check us out, unscaledtravelshow.com or .org or .biz. It's not there, but it is .com. For all of our past episodes and interview, we're over 100 episodes of this show.
Fun.
In fact, this is 102. Look at that. 102 episodes.
We're awesome.
Come on. Get out of here.
Who's listening to us?
This is, I know, I blame them. The people that
It's
subscribe
their
to us, follow us, I blame you. This is all your fault. But we are talking about the history of Las Vegas, and more specifically, the places that you can go visit in Las Vegas to get a real sense of why we are the way we are. And we are a very eclectic group out here in Vegas. We were just talking about the population explosion that came from came from Hoover Dam being built. Mm-hmm. The influx of 21,000 workers and their families over the course of the 5 or 6 years it took to build Hoover Dam, which is crazy. That only took like 5 years.
Right.
To build Hoover Dam.
I know. I still feel like that's
right.
a lie.
They're still building it, right? Yeah.
That's a lie. But at the time, there were already some hotels and casinos, like actual buildings here. And one of them is still standing on Fremont Street.
Absolutely. The Golden Gate.
Yes.
Excuse me. I was like, Golden Girls. The Golden Gate Hotel is still standing, and it's still on Fremont Street. It's originally known as the Hotel Nevada. Mm-hmm. So if you go and look back, it'll be like, oh, it's the Hotel Nevada. But it's still the oldest running hotel in Vegas. It famously introduced the, your parents or grandparents probably talk about all the time, the 50-cent shrimp cocktail in the late 50s.
Yeah.
Originated there. And I think you read somewhere like the first telephone.
The first telephone in Las Vegas was installed in this hotel in 1907.
Boom.
Like, this is actual living history that you can go in today, and you can still stay in this hotel.
Yeah. Very cosmopolitan. I mean, it was kind of the originator. This is where people started going, oh, well, wait, okay. Now, it wasn't this. No, it's obviously undergone renovations over the years and things like that. But so it wasn't this huge luxury property, but it was still in the same area. It was still kind of did the same thing. You can come here. You remember, you got all kinds of you have a mix of people. You have workers that were working on the Hoover Dam. You have ranchers and miners. You also have people that are coming in off the railroads that are doing different things, cattle people, business people from San Francisco and LA. So you have this huge mix of people from all walks of life, all looking for the same thing. And I need somewhere to sleep.
You want to know how they attracted them to the Hotel Nevada? This is where the first outdoor electric sign was installed.
Boom.
So all the neon lights Vegas is known for, the very first one was at this hotel.
Beautiful. Because, I mean, if you think about it, if you picture it, if you close your eyes, that's what the Las Vegas Valley looked like, right? At night. It was completely dark. It was probably a dark sky, wonderful place to watch the stars at night and everything like that. So in the distance, you would see just this bright neon sign that said a Golden Gate on it. And like flies, like moths to a flame. People were attracted, and that really kind of kicked off these outside places having all of this neon out in this kind of like dark oasis.
Yeah. Well, and at this time, what we're getting into is Vegas becoming Vegas, and the people that made that happen, the people that came here from maybe the East Coast and brought some of their not quite legal business dealings with them, and built these other casinos and hotels that a lot of them are still standing today.
Organized crime, which goes back into time immemorial, right? People doing shady things to get money, right? So people from the East Coast and all over, not just those people, but from all over, they saw Las Vegas as an opportunity. You had very lax laws. You had vices that were kind of, celebrated instead of condemned. It wasn't a overly religious place or anything like that. And politicians that were willing to work with people with not the best records. Mm-hmm. Okay. Bugsy Siegel, Meyer Lansky, Frank Rosenthal, a family I know intimately, the Spalatros. All of these people kind of shaped. You
know them intimately?
I know the grandson. I know the grandson.
I don't think crazy. That was the word you meant to use.
Intimately?
Okay.
No. Well, okay. I have to go back. I know them. Well, I don't. Now I can't even say that.
You know them personally. Say that.
Not intimately. Whatever.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, look.
Back to the mob.
My point is, go to the Mob Museum. Downtown, there is the Mob Museum. And it is a celebrated museum across the country. It's won every award there is to award from all the top organizations. Travel and Leisure, USA Today, New York Times, all of them have bestowed praise on the Mob Museum because it tells an incredible, detailed story of the beginnings of the mob and their influence in Las Vegas, their heyday, their decline, but how they left their lasting impression on Las Vegas. That's still, in some pockets, rolled out and celebrated from time to time. And when people start thinking about the heyday of Las Vegas and, the neon lights and the cowboy kicking and, all the people down, all those things, this is the era that they're kind of looking at. That and the Rat Pack era that's coming in a little bit. And it really, for better or worst. There you go. Better or worse. Now I'm still thinking about intimately. But for better or worse, really shaped it to what it is now.
Right.
An area where you could get and be the thing that you wanted to be and that person that you wanted to be and explore different sides of your personality. I'm going to say in a very PC way, in a place that was easy on it. The people that come in from Iowa, God bless you guys. We love you. Spend your money here. But you wouldn't be wearing that out in them Iowa streets.
Come on, Janice.
Some of them things that you be wearing, Janice, and you be wearing out here. But you know what? We don't judge.
No, we don't.
We all fam in the club, okay? In the club, we all fam. That's how we look at it. And we're happy to do it. But really kind of looking at, when you look at the mob and the stories of like the Untouchables and Al Capone and all of them, even if Capone never really set foot in Vegas, his organizations
still had an influence here.
All kind of touched Vegas from different from different angles.
Something you were mentioning to me the other day was that part of why they were able to come to Vegas and grow the city so much was that we're still coming out of a depression. Banks were not lending money.
Yeah.
And so businesses needed money and the mob was willing to back them.
Yeah.
So that's how they kind of got in with this because there wasn't a lot of governmental oversight as to what was happening around here. So they could fund businesses. And then from what I recall you saying, they were laundering their money from their other businesses through the businesses here in Vegas.
Yeah, through the casinos. Why not? It's a cash operation where you could bring in, quote unquote, dirty money from the East, run it through a casino. It's laundered. It's clean. You're a legitimate business owner, out here in the West instead of being a criminal out there in the East. And there's still a ton of resorts and things like that still stand that you can go see. So we mentioned the Golden Gate, but there's the Golden Nugget that opened in 1946, the El Cortez, which is one of my favorite places in the city. Actually, it opened in 41. And then there came the Flamingo, the Flamingo Hotel, which was, co-owned by Bugsy Siegel. And it was the first luxury property on the Strip. It completely changed how people viewed Sin City in Las Vegas from an area of like, oh yeah, let's just go have some vicey good times to like, wait, mom and dad and the kids can come and see world-class entertainment and all of that. Oh yes, Sin City's about to get fun, baby. Stay right here. It's the Unscaled Travel Show. I'll remember that intimately.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long here with my co-host, Amy.
Hello.
Talking to you about beautiful Sin City, Las Vegas, the history of it, in fact. We're in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios, and this is all about the places that you can visit that really will kind of, I don't know, fill in the blanks about Las Vegas and why it is the way it is and why we call things certain things and all of that. So we're in the fun era now.
The fun era.
The fun mob, like dig a hole in the desert kind of era. There's tons of movies that are filmed around here based on real things, like the movie Casino. And that is like Frank Rosenthal and Tony Spilotro and that family that I know intimately. But they're all real characters that were portrayed in this movie with those guys. In that era, but there's all kinds of things that you can kind of look back on and fill in the blanks a little bit.
But you were just saying that the first hotel casino as we know it today was the Flamingo, which is still here. It is still on the Strip, and it's actually just gotten kind of a facelift.
Yeah, just
recently.
got a refresh. Yeah.
But it's one of the places when we're on the Strip we usually go to because I really like their garden with the live flamingos in it and the koi ponds, and it's just kind of a little bit of a escape from the Strip madness, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But I love the lights on the front of the Flamingo, all of their neon. It's
the neon
not
pink.
Yeah, the pink and the orange. Yeah. I love it. And the feathers on it. It's probably one of my favorite casinos from the outside to look at. Yeah,
it opened in 1946. It was the brainchild of famous mobster Bugsy Siegel and had some financial backing, wink, wink, from Meyer Lansky. And it was a shift. It was a cultural shift from these little kind of hotels that were okay and little separate restaurants and everything to an actual lavish resort. Bugsy Siegel had ties to Hollywood. He wanted the stars from that era to be at his hotel. And at first it wasn't a good thing. They lost a lot of money. Some say that's the big reason why Bugsy Siegel lost his life a couple years after this place opened, right? But it really started to change everything. In the early 1950s, Elvis was brought in. And people don't know this because Elvis would have a legendary run later on. But in the 50s, when he came here, he bombed.
Yeah, right.
Elvis was not well received because it was a different clientele. They did not want to see Elvis.
It was not his demographic.
It was not his demographic.
Flamingo.
It was older people with money. And they didn't want to see this young, hot shot with slick back hair and swiveling hips. And other things, amongst other things. They wanted to see people like Frank Sinatra.
Right.
Dean Martin, the Rat Pack. And these guys, when we say that the Rat Pack really ruled Vegas in the early 1950s through that decade, they ruled Las Vegas. Show after show being sold out. And just anywhere they went, mobs of people. They were treated like royalty. And there's places that you can still go because the Rat Pack set up shop at the Sahara. Mm-hmm. The Sahara is still there. It's I think it's minted as Sahara Las Vegas now, but it's
changed names a couple of times, but it's back to being the Sahara.
But the Sahara was built in 1952. It opened then, and it's still standing, going there because they do a lot of nods back to their old history. Mm-hmm. Literally right down the street, maybe 5-minute walk from the Sahara is one of the best restaurants in Las Vegas. It's been around for decades, and it was the popular stop for Frank and Company. They have a booth there. That's the Frank Sinatra booth where they said he held court every night after shows. That means him and his friends were there and they were buying lobster and he was, tied up with the mob and all this other stuff. Allegedly. But the Golden Steer restaurant is a iconic place here in Vegas.
Right.
And it makes all the lists
It does. And if you drive by it or even go up to it, it doesn't look like anything special.
It doesn't.
It kind of just looks like a little strip mall. And it just says the Golden Steer on the front of it. But it's been around for decades, and it is, like you said, always on list of places you have to go eat when you're in Vegas. And so we're talking about the part of the north part of the strip that is close to downtown, because we did start in the Fremont downtown area and then started slowly coming down what's now Las Vegas Boulevard. So that part of the Las Vegas Strip where the Strat is and Sahara, that was kind of the beginning.
That was the
of
original,
the strip, right?
That was the original hangout spot. Now they kind of, that's the north strip. No, that's like the original.
Right.
That's where Frank and Company hung out and things of that nature. And I don't want to pass up an opportunity to tell you about the Neon Museum, the Neon Boneyard. And why did they call it that? Because they save, rescue, and restore those old neon signs. The classic ones, the cowboy with the cigarette in his mouth and the old showgirl and all of that stuff, found a place and found a home there and were restored. Now I think some of them can be found in places like the Circa, which is a newer resort.
Yeah, so on Fremont in the downtown and around the downtown area, the ones that have been restored, a lot of them are on display and they are working. So if you go to that area at night, you'll see some of them. But inside the Circa is the cowgirl that was on one of the buildings that was down there long time ago. And it's inside. And it's really neat because if you walk in on the ground level, it's actually underground and you can look down on it.
Yeah. It's really, it's a fun little, like a picture opportunity as well. And like kids may not know, but people that are, our age or older, they're like, oh, that's a great addition. It really is. But the Neon Museum is an incredible experience, especially in the evening time when the lights come on from all the old neon signs.
The ones that they've restored. Yeah.
And they walk you through the history of these refurbished and rebranded, and kind of give you like this visual timeline of Las Vegas and of the Strip and how it went from where you see the old video of grandma pulling on a slot machine. She just put a nickel in to what it is now.
Yeah.
And it's just really, really fascinating.
It's one of the first, I would say, museums that we went to when we moved to Las Vegas.
Yeah, it was one of the first properties that we went to.
I think we had only been here a couple of months when we went down there, and I thought it was so cool. And we went during the day. We didn't even see it at night. But it was just such a really neat way to see kind of the Las Vegas history, that part of the Las Vegas history, all in one place.
And it's another one of these areas that's super celebrated. It wins tons of awards. It's celebrated year in and year out with awards. And people come from all over the country, all over the world to not only just see this area, but they take pictures, wedding photos, all like graduation photos, all kinds of stuff. Because what an iconic backdrop, when having the old Sahara signs and the old Stardust signs and things like that, like in your background. It's really, really cool.
I love
it. Highly recommend it.
I love it. I think it's great.
Especially like early evening, like in the cooler months. If you come during the middle of July, well, it's still fun.
You have to go at night. You have
to go at night or you may fry. It's all right. Do what you got to do.
We made that mistake today. We went out in the middle of the day thinking, oh, everything's fine. And within an hour, it's like, okay, we need to go inside. It's too hot.
Like, why? Why did we do this? We haven't learned yet. And then there's other areas like the Pepper Mill. The Pepper Mill, I think, was built in the 70s and just won its first James Beard Award. So it's like still out there going strong. It's an iconic Vegas part. As we get into like the 70s and 80s, 90s, whenever the big luxury resorts, theme properties, the old Mirage, which just shut down, the Tropicana, which was just imploded, all of these places, that begins like the corporate era.
Right.
And everything's kind of being corporate-y.
Well, and you mentioned Elvis earlier. So Vegas does tie into Elvis in the history. And he had his kind of famous residency at what is now the Westgate Resort and Hotel, which they have a bronze statue of him in the lobby. His theater is still there. Now Barry Manilow plays in it. But if you are a an Elvis fan, Vegas is definitely part of that history. And you can see a lot of Vegas or Elvis themed things in Vegas, but especially at the Westgate Hotel.
Where, I mean, legendary wide because he had a run of 636 sold out shows at the Westgate Hotel between 1969 and 1976. Crazy time. We hope you enjoyed this. Get out here to Vegas, see some of the history, get up close, be intimate with it. We'll see you guys next time.